Smile for the camera. Welcome back to the 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐵𝐝 show, where we cover Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and all the price action in between. Let's look down at what we got here. Not look down at Bitcoin price, which is dropping pretty badly, but let's take a quick moment to, in light of all these red candles that we have going on, just appreciate that there is another. It's really important to have this perspective. I want to start off with this. Make sure that you are realizing that we are fortunate enough to be in a time where Bitcoin is still like relatively cheap. You should feel really lucky. And it's kind of weird saying this because last bear market, went down even into the single digit thousands of dollars. And, how can you be lucky with Bitcoin, at 32K or 31 and change? You're going to look back in the future and say, holy cow, that was a great time to be buying cryptocurrency or buying Bitcoin specifically, not necessarily altcoins. Altcoins have a long way to go because altcoins make lower lows as Bitcoin forms a higher low, and I'll cover that here in a minute. It's kind of a little trick for you. If you're looking to scoop up altcoins, it's far, 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 far away from a good time to do that. So let's dive in and we'll do some short-term price action. You already know my long-term targets or my mid-term targets, and let's dive in. All right. Start off with Bitcoin here, and again, it really is important to maintain that perspective. We are fortunate to be in a time where Bitcoin is still relatively cheap. Not as cheap as it was last bear market, going down to 3,200 and then down to $4,000 during March 2020. But you need to have that understanding, and then once you start understanding Bitcoin a little bit more, I promise you, your next bull run, you'll be less and less interested in altcoins, and you'll pretty much just use altcoins to be able to get more Bitcoin. I promise you. The more you understand Bitcoin, the less you're going to think generational wealth and all that stuff for your altcoins. I totally promise. Okay. I guess I'm on the bottom left here. Kind of like it on the bottom left. All right. Looking at this, Bitcoin went down almost exactly. I was guessing Bitcoin was going to go as far as the last wick here. So the second or OneDrive. So May last year, OneDrive, 2 drives, 3. I thought it was going to go maybe as low as 28.6, which was the third drive down about a year ago. Actually, almost exactly 11 months ago in June. However, it went almost exactly horizontal to the coronavirus dump, taking Bitcoin from roughly 58K all the way down to 29 and change. So the high 29s, roughly 29.7. And if I draw a straight line here, so if you want to draw a straight line, something that a couple of my Discord community members always get onto me about, just hold shift, make it straight, stop fumbling around with it. All right, there, got your straight line, and it almost perfectly hit that wick. Right there, you see that? The very first wick. And then that also happens to align with, maybe I should have extended that line a little bit, but let's go like this. And it also hits roughly, not exactly, but roughly these 2 wicks down here. And in large moves, let me put myself big. In large moves, when you're looking at horizontals, a lot of times a bunch of candle bodies aligning on the same exact horizontal plane, mixed with sometimes wicks going up to that level as well, that creates a horizontal of support, right? Or even a horizontal of resistance, or if it's overhead. For whatever reason, wicks that have violent behavior around it, or in other words, what I usually say is when price turns on a dime, essentially, it wicks down and does a V-shape type of deal. Even if that V-shape doesn't hold up, it comes straight back down and does it again. But as long as there's V-shape types of wicks, for whatever reason, it holds as much weight as a horizontal with 10, let's say 10 daily candles, all in a line. It holds a ton of weight, and that's the same on altcoins as well. So a lot of altcoins, let's see, 2018 altcoins that started off, their graph would start way up high, and it would come down, and it would V-shape and come up and make some type of lower high. And then 2 years later, once it finally bottomed out, a lot of those graphs would come up and use that V-shaped wick as hard resistance. So I'll do this on my chart. And you're going to, so remember this for the next bull market. Like this could apply to Ethereum or Cardano or whatever the case. So 2018 coins fell, had a little rally, boom, 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 lower high, boom, boom, boom. And then 2 years later, bam, starts recovering. And then you make this horizontal here like that. And almost all altcoins from 2018, they did something like this, bam, and they had trouble getting over it, something to that effect. It's where, so even though it was only a wick here, and that you didn't have very many candle bodies aligning perfectly with that, for whatever reason, when it turns on a dime, price has a hard time getting above that, or once it does get above, it does use that as strong support as well. It's equally strong as support as it is resistance. So I just said it's equally strong support, right? Therefore, that's why in my YouTube video from yesterday that wasn't live, I mentioned super specifically the second most probable scenario, which is just behind the most probable scenario of crashing through this. Second most probable is it does get some type of relief bounce, maybe even up to 38 or 41K here. A second most likely situation because of specifically, and I didn't describe why, because this is a horizontal created by very, very violent wicks. And that is one of the main reasons why I don't think I'm going to make it my top most likely yet, but it is bouncing exactly on that type of line, right? And this line is a tiny bit lower than the line I was looking at yesterday. Technically, I was looking at this line, right? I'm not even using the same BTC chart right here. I was looking at this line here yesterday, but I just made the macro range like this because the wicks I have as going below, right? As I covered in some YouTube videos, whenever it interacts with this bottom line, it typically wicks below it. All right, that's what we got for very, very short-term price action holistically. This could end up being used as support, potentially. But if it gets trapped under it, it's going to be a rough time. So what we can do here is, instead of using the line from which it bounced, and so I'm getting ready to show you how I would interpret if I'm doing short-term time frame trading, or I just want to know in any moment what is Bitcoin most likely to do over the next 4 hours or 8 hours, or maybe even a shelf life of this, maybe 24 hours. So the shelf life of what I'm about to show you might only last about 8 hours. So, for example, if you check to see if a baby's asleep, that checking, the action of checking, the shelf life of that only lasts about 2 hours, right? Or an hour and a half, because babies wake up, like small newborn babies wake up a lot, right? For all of those of you without kids, just trust me, small babies wake up a lot. So the shelf life of checking doesn't last a whole lot of time, right? So the shelf life of this checking on Bitcoin, which I'm about to show you, the shelf life of that, I would say is probably going to be 8 hours or so. So I'm going to show you a short-term time frame trick, so you don't have to be staring at the charts all the dang time. This is going to work for you with a high probability of success rate. I would do something to the effect of maybe the 1 hour chart. So I'm up. Here, can you see what I'm clicking over here? Let me drag this down just a little bit right there. Yeah. I'm up here, going to mess around with the time frames. I would be on the 1 hour, maybe down to the 5 minute chart, something to that effect. I kind of like the 5 minute chart when I'm dealing with this stuff though, because you can see everything you could see down here with price interacting with this line at exactly 31.2. So 31,200 is the bottom of my macro channel, non-tilted macro channel. All right. So as you see, as I covered yesterday, whenever you go below a horizontal and then you come back above the horizontal, that means you overshot the support and you found support just under it, which means you're statistically more likely to make a lower high. Right? Remember that yesterday? And there are very few exceptions. For example, July 21st, this same line, it did go below it and then took off. However, We knew that that was just a trap, right? Because it just smelled like a trap. It was too, the whales made it too obvious. However, this is not a trap setup. And I'm not going to go over all the scenarios for that, why I can conclude that essentially with confidence. But it overshot the support. Therefore, you know it's likely going to be a lower high. Lower than maybe this high or this high up here. Like little local blips. Came back down, overshot the support again. This is the support, made yet another lower high. Overshot the support. It doesn't matter if this is a high or low. It did not use this as support. Therefore, statistically likely to be yet another lower high. Made a lower low, came up, used this as resistance. So essentially, this right here is called a failure. It closed on the 5-minute chart. It closed a candle above that red line at 31.2, and then it rolled on over. That's called a failure as opposed to a rejection. On the 1 hour chart, it technically got rejected though. So on the 1 hour, so if you look at charts, this actually was rejected, and then finally broke through, right? But on the 5-minute chart, it failed it. So the terminology is a little bit different depending on the chart, all right? Now, this is where I'm going with this. After this, so then it created an inverse shape, and then a bunch of retail pattern traders bought this up, right? And so that's all this is. This whole pump right here so this is why I keep telling you over and over, the easiest way to trade is to figure out where most people are going to be trading. That's literally all you try to do, right? So on micro time frames, you do have a lot of pattern traders who use pretty heavy leverage, and a lot of non-pattern people who simply just see that and it's their horizontal, and they're going to trade with the pattern traders. So you had a lot of non-pattern traders trading who are doing day trading on Bitcoin, who are trading with the pattern traders after they saw it break down and then make a baby higher low within the breakout, right? Here, that baby higher low right there. That's where a lot of people have probably added on. That's all that is. That's what that pump is. Okay? It's all because people see in the shape. They all traded it. They traded together, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. But it doesn't matter if their analysis is right or wrong. It doesn't matter. They are right because most people were trading on that side, at least on this micro time frame. Here's the trick, though. In essence, price, the 31.2 is the battle line. Okay, 31.2 is the battle line right now. Like, it's on the small time frames. So here's the trick that so you don't have to stare at charts all the dang time, at least particular to Bitcoin and how Bitcoin affects the whole market. If Bitcoin can continue to use 31.2 as support, all right, you're not going to have any, very likely, with a high level of confidence, but not guaranteed, you're likely not going to have any aggressive move to the downside for a shelf life, I would say, of roughly 8 hours. And here's why. Because as it's using it as support, maybe even making lower highs, all that stuff, it will come down below it and overshoot it, and then make a lower high first, and then maybe even make a lower high, but maybe not, and then come up, use it as resistance, and then go like this, and then tank. All right? So it's not just going to come here and go blue. No, it'll do like the inverse of this stuff, or this on reverse. Am I making sense there? Because there are going to be too many people defending this line as buyers, and it's not like they just go away, those defenders. So imagine these are the defenders of that line who are buying this up for longs. They're not going to go away on the first try, right? From a psychological standpoint, understanding why people hit buy and sell. That's why this has a roughly 8-hour shelf life, because it's mostly short-term time frame people who are doing this, so you don't have a long shelf life. But those people who are trading Bitcoin on this are looking at this horizontal because it's the neckline of this shape. So the same people who bought this up, they're not going to go away. They're going to try it a few times, right? And some of them will straggle, and stay, maybe keep trying it a little bit too long. You probably shouldn't try trading the same line more than 3 times ever. So if you have a resistance and you see, price come up to it and you short it, doing the same exact line 3 times within a short time frame is probably not the brightest idea. But however, and then we take a line like this, and so from current price to here, oh, look at that. No way. All right, well, I got lucky there. Can you see this on my chart? Can you see what time it says on the here? Look right there. See where I got kind of lucky there. We're gonna have to do this 2 videos in a row. Like that was lucky. All right. Well, that was definitely unplanned. Similar to my unplanned cool event yesterday. But 7 hours and 55 minutes from that 5-minute candle to exactly right here before it tanks. I was saying 8 hours shelf life. That was kind of cool. All right. I got lucky how I drew that. And so that's roughly how it would be and why you would have it could only be 4 hours, but again, as long as you see price over this, you don't have to be you don't have to have the flight or fright or flight reaction or amygdala response or whatever, however you say that stuff in your area, your microculture or culture. So even this, you shouldn't be scared about it just tanking. It's simply not going to happen without, it's statistically highly unlikely for these people having bought over here, or even new people, they're going to defend this line. It's not just going to go straight down. Could it come all the way down, maybe as low as here on the first pass? These wicks here? Yeah, maybe. I could see that happening. But I don't think it's in any imminent danger of just capitulating on short-term time frames. Are we in danger of capitulating on a daily aspect and weekly aspect? Absolutely. Imminent danger. However, imminent on a weekly scale is a week, right? This week and next week. So I would suspect that it would not overshoot on this first pass here. I don't think it'll, wherever it turns around, it'll be at this line or before. That would be my guess. Hopefully, Bitcoin price does not make me a liar live stream. But, I mean, sometimes it can. Bitcoin can do weird stuff, but that would be my very, very confident guess. All right. I'm going to do some questions here in just a second. Now, I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and I want to show you something. It's in addition to my video yesterday where I showed you the 2 cross pads, we revisited that, and then I covered where my targets are for the downside using different EMAs because it's just how Bitcoin moves. It's simply how Bitcoin moves. I wanted to show you one more thing, and I'm starting to see this line. I'm not claiming anybody's copying off of me, but I'm starting to see this line a little bit more across YouTube, Twitter here. Obviously not the same exact way I drew it, but and let's see here, because I fumbled around with this line for years. And I'm confident that very few humans on Earth have messed around with what I call, personally, a master origin line to make it as perfectly calibrated as possible as I have. Very, very few people on this Earth have done that, specifically with this straight line in Bitcoin going out. So let's zoom out so you can see what I'm talking about. A lot of people do a shade fill under this line, like they make it like a triangle, so this is all black, and they show like weekly candles bouncing on it, right? On Twitter, but it's the most important single straight line in all of Bitcoin history. There is no argument for that, or there's no valid argument. You can argue all you want, but you'll be wrong. So look, just here, yeah, I'm on the 2-day chart, so take a look. 2013 top, 2014, 2015 bear market, capitulate, boom, hits the top of that trading channel around the master origin line. Lower high, boom, hits the bottom blue line, comes up, just a parabolic move, boom, hits the top of that line of support. So never closed a weekly candle below this line. And if you throw on the weekly 10 EMA, the weekly 10 EMA did scoop just below that origin line. So let's zoom in there so you can see this. We're going to stack a couple elements on here in terms of are we capitulating or not. The weekly 10 is the red. We can even take off price. It doesn't matter. The weekly 10 is the red. It did cross the master origin line. However, what did price do immediately? It immediately got back above the master origin line as the red crossed that white line right there. See that? It had already made a higher low structure and just zoomed up. Okay? Are we... Therefore, and note that Bitcoin was way higher above this origin line than it in the last 2 cycles than it did get this cycle. So when it capitulated, it came down to that top channel, the trading channel. So the blue lines are the trading channel around here because that's where Bitcoin likes to trade as it gets to the most important line in its history. It capitulated to the origin line essentially, right? In the first 2 bull cycles. So the next bull cycle went to 20K. So this is all 2016, 2017, just a nasty run, right? The hardest part about this run is that it was aggressive the whole time with very few exceptions. So you had like a couple weeks at a time where it'd go bam, bam, a very aggressive move to the downside, but then it just took off. It was very, very hard. It was really hard to, unless you were buying after mid-September, you could have bought at almost any moment and just have been doubled your money with altcoins at any day. It was crazy. Anyway, so 2017, 20K top. And that's why a lot of people thought they were geniuses right here, including myself. And then I just got destroyed during all this. And then I started getting better at trading during this time. And I started being like profitable / break even around here. And then around this time, especially after coronavirus, I did very well with my buy orders, and then I started getting really groovy there. Okay, but it capitulated down to the master origin line. So let's go to that point right there. These are 2-day candles. Is this a coincidence? No, it's not. It's not a coincidence, I promise, right? And again, I'm going to take off price. Red crossed barely below the master origin line, and as that happened, what was price doing? It was already making higher lows and recovering and getting above the master origin line, right? But that's 2 times. However, the next 2 events around the master origin line are completely different so far. March 2020, or the coronavirus dump or whatever, Bitcoin had not yet capitulated from this massive run. Even though this wasn't a full bull market, this was like a third of a, that's why I think we might be in waves. This is wave 1, and what we just saw was wave 2 up to 64K, essentially. I'm kind of thinking that might be the case, but you can't confirm, we won't be able to confirm that until like 2024 or 2026 or something like that. But you can see here, it did not capitulate. No capitulation, no capitulation. Came down to the master origin line before a capitulation. And then, as in my video yesterday, red got close. So purple was down here, the weekly 89. No, it's still the 89. Perfect. All right, bam. However, I don't want to incorporate this purple here today, but red got close to purple, which essentially seals the deal that you will capitulate, right? When red gets close to purple, those are the weekly 10, weekly 89. As of now, it's a 100% hit rate, so it's safer to assume that it will continue that pattern, which as of now it has. And then it capitulated at the master origin line as this red was crossing here. So look, red crossed the master origin line. That's when it capitulated, as opposed to the previous 2 times. That's when it was recovering. As the red, or the weekly 10, crossed the master origin line, that's when price was recovering last couple times. Not now. The last time, that's when it capitulated. All right, now let's look at current price. So I didn't do this type of analysis last time because I was using just simple EMAs, but now I'm using an EMA crossing with the most important line. It does. So this is still an important cross. Bitcoin let's take price off. The red line crossed here, right there, and Bitcoin tried to get back up above the master origin line. It did, but what specifically did I say the last 2 times? That's when Bitcoin was getting above, and actually, maybe I didn't say this specifically. I meant to say this. In my mind, I said it. Bitcoin didn't just get above, but it used the master origin line as support. I actually, now that I think I phrased it that way. It used it as support the last 2 times. So let's look at what it did this time. And why this gives extra confidence that we're probably capitulating. That's why a bounce scenario is my number 2, and just blowing through it on a weekly basis, not on the 5-minute basis, but on a weekly basis, why we're gonna probably blow through it. The 32-1 line and just keep going straight down. So when it came up, did it use that line of support? No. So essentially, this is one big failure that got above the master origin line. Forget about the red line. So this white line here, it got above it and never tried using that support. So that's just one big failure. And what sealed the deal for me, in my mind, that we are capitulating was that local high right there. It had to get back above this origin line on this attempt right here on April 21st and use this as support and then make this red line curl back in a positive slope that way. That was its last chance. And when that day came back below, April 21st, when that day, so this is actually the 2-day chart, but whatever. let's actually go to the daily chart. Yes. This day right here, so actually no, it got above, failed it. Yeah, this one right here, this rejection. When it created a little spinning top candle at the bottom of this move, and then wicked above and closed below the previous two candles. So this day right here closed below both that candle and that candle, which when you do that, that's like a super engulfing bearish candle, right? For me, that sealed the deal that this is probably going to capitulate, because this was its last chance to get above the master origin line. Am I connecting all these? So we have four events of price interacting with the master origin line. The first two events, so 2015-ish, 2014, and then early 2019, late 2018, it capitulated to this line. The next two events capitulated at, or well, assuming this is capitulation, in March 2020, it capitulated at the line, right? Instead of capitulating down to it. So this is another reason why, how I'm seeing this as the number one most likely. So let me take off the master origin line here. And I'll take off the weekly 10, and I'll put back on this macro range. Oh, no, wrong macro. So this macro range has been broken out of. This is the macro tilted range, and that's another analysis. Like, it broke out of this channel, it's going to make another range lower. Like, that's just how ranges work. It's possible it comes right back up to it, but it's probably not going to. Anyway, that's a different type of analysis. Okay. So that's why I think that it's slightly more likely to bust on through this, as opposed to getting a strong bounce up to the 38.1. Let's see, where is that? 38.3, the 38.3 level. But so contrary to that analysis, though, so we have two competing, two strong ideas that are in contrast to each other. Let me go to the top right here. Yes. So you can see the bottom left of this chart. However, you do have the idea what I said earlier, these wicks, and it turned on a dime, very violent price action. So you see how this came up and came down and turned on a dime and went straight up. That makes it so this is very strong support. It's violent wicks, and that counts as huge support. Therefore, we have two strong ideas that are in direct opposition to each other. One says this will act as support, and one says, nope, support's done, it's gone, it had its chance, there's no way, it's capitulating. And therefore, that's why I have my number 1 and 2 most probable scenarios, because of this. And so I wanted to go into this all yesterday on my YouTube video, but I looked down and I ranted a few times too much, and it was already 23 minutes long. So this is essentially a continuation yesterday of why I think that capitulation is the number 1 most likely event to happen as of now, like we were seeing it, but also why my strong number 2 is a strong number 2. They're opposites of each other. Capitulate now, don't capitulate now, right? But these are all the reasons why. Hopefully that clears that up a little bit. And there are actually other reasons. You know, you could find other reasons why it'll bounce here or why it'll capitulate, but that's the basis of it, right? Did you see how I accidentally put on my tilted macro range and it broke down out of it? And that means it's going to create a range down lower, and it's got to do a U-shaped thing to get back in. And so there are more things that you could point as evidence to either case. However, that's the basis of it. And again, but shelf life in terms of not being scared off your butt every moment like a little mouse, you know, trying not to get eaten, is this might have a 4 to 8 hour shelf life, is this line at 31.2. So even though I think it's most probable that we capitulate down, that's on a weekly candle basis. So if price has not used this as resistance specifically at any point, you probably have 4 to 8 hours, you know, of where you don't, assuming you're not a day trader, you don't really need to look at that. You can go like have fun with family, or, you know, don't have to check your phone at work, you know, until this is specifically, you have lower highs, bam, 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 and you see this used as resistance, bam. Okay. All right. I thought I'd show you that trick, and I will probably wrap up my Bitcoin analysis with that, because in my yesterday's video, So if you're seeing the recording of this snippet of the live show, go ahead to my channel and look at my yesterday's video where I elaborate on other points to what I was just showing you, and I'll start looking at some Q&A now. All right. Okay, so with the Q&A, I typically, the questions I answer first are super chats and my community members who have an emblem next to their name. So if you see people with something that looks like a Superman thing, those are because they're a part of the tier. And if you wanted to check out a quick video that describes what the tiers are, there's a join button. I don't know if the join button is right below the live shows, but on my YouTube videos, there's a join button, and if you click it, it'll pop up another video that I made describing what the tiers offer. Okay. All right, so Ivan DC8 asks about, well, gee whiz. So essentially, yeah. Those are all what I consider community coins. That's interesting. So you have been watching my channel for a bit here, I would assume, if those are the coins you're interested in. All right. Well, I will, since you asked for 5 of them, or 4 of them, I'm going to have to do it a little quickly. In general, though, and again, this is a trick. It seems so rudimentary and basic that your brain is not going to want to accept it. Your brain's not going to want to accept what I'm about ready to tell you. And that's not just Ivan. It's everybody watching this, okay? With very few exceptions. Altcoins will lose 95% or more of their value from their wick high. It's hard to believe, but think about it this way. Last bear market, Ethereum lost 94% of its value, and no one thought that that was going to be possible. Unless you knew that Bitcoin likes to correct about 85%. So therefore, Ethereum, not being Bitcoin, it's going to correct slightly more. I would have guessed 90 to 92, but it went down 94%. Cardano lost 99%, technically 98.77% of its value. Cardano, last bear market. Ethereum 94%, Cardano 99%. Because this didn't get such nasty blow off top as it did last 2 cycles, I would assume that that percentage down of what you could expect your altcoins might be a little lower because money is more spread out across different altcoins, and a lot of crypto money is now going to useless NFT JPEGs, unfortunately, which is suppressing the price of Bitcoin. It's very unfortunate that people are buying that stuff. I'm not saying NFTs in general are useless because I think they have a use case, but not the use case definitely will not be silly JPEG pictures, I'm telling you. That will be gone and it won't be back next bull run, I'm telling you. However, I don't want to hinder you from trying to make money from that stuff now. And if you don't believe me, just look up what crypto kitties were. Did they come back? No, they didn't. Is it the same thing? Almost. Blockchain-based ownership rights of some type of picture. It's already been here. It's already happened. It just wasn't called NFTs. All right. And your brain probably doesn't want to accept that either, unless you don't like NFTs. All right, the NFT use case that's popular. Sorry, NFTs in general. I'm not saying anything bad about the idea of NFTs. All right, so this is Veracity. Why do you think my red box is down here? Because it is 95% down. So I would guess by the time Bitcoin both finds a bottom and rounds out, Veracity will have hit 0.0035. It's that simple. I don't know what your question is about Veracity, but this is more longer term stuff. This could take 8 months to get down there. Because as Bitcoin makes a higher low, altcoins make their lowest low after Bitcoin bottoms. Often it could be like 6 months, 14 months. It's going to be somewhere between there. After Bitcoin's bottom is when altcoins are going to bottom. I'm telling you. Well, at least that's what happened last time, and it's very likely to happen this time. So be expecting that, I guess. Be fully expecting when Bitcoin bottoms, that is not the bottom on altcoins. There might be some exceptions, maybe Luna. Even Luna just is getting destroyed. I guess I can maybe take a Luna out of my exception list, but I don't know. Fingers crossed for them because I know there are a lot of people in that project and a lot of people's money tied up. So I don't want to step on anybody's toes. Anyway, that's the rule. That'd be my target for pretty much every altcoin. Short-term price action, well, it is hitting the bottom of the bleed box. So the range of the yellow, so the yellow box is right, this guy, that range right here. I think it could, so if Bitcoin does get a bounce, Veracity will probably pop up to 0.015. Yeah, it'll probably pop up right to the bottom of that, the point of control. If Bitcoin gets a bounce, you know, that takes it closer, at least in proximity to 38K, whether it comes up shy or goes over. So if it goes over 30K, Veracity might come up to here or to 0.0177. And that's more of your midterm time frame potential analysis as high as that. However, I wouldn't bet on that because I think Bitcoin bouncing would be number 2, but that would be my 2, I guess, targets, both long-term and short and midterm for Veracity. Let's go to MTV. MTV's getting really messed up. It looks to me that MTV's gonna, so this is the bottom origin line for it. It looks like it's gonna break through it and hit the next one and maybe even the next one down. I can't quite tell at this point, but let me measure and make a guess here. Which one's 95% down? So from its top, 95. Oh, so that's this next one down. Yep, that's 96%. So I would be targeting this area here. 0.0011. Or where I think it's going. So let me actually put a box there. Just like I did with Luna. And what did Luna hit? It hit my targets for bear market using the same strategy. And I had a lot of people in that video that I made it, a YouTube video that I made that, the bear market box, I even had somebody say, it's virtually impossible for Luna to drop 70% down to those targets. I'm like, oh, dude, I don't care. A chart's a chart, and I know how crypto moves. So Luna, all that Luna's doing, it doesn't matter. It's the order book that matters. Doesn't matter if stuff's locked up. The price can still, if 80% of coins are locked up, it doesn't matter. It's the order book that matters. It actually makes, when you have a bunch of stuff locked up, it creates the order book being thinner. So if somebody wants to sell and get scared, it's going to drop price even faster. Like, I don't know why people use that as a defense. Like, oh, I'm defending, oh, my coin's not going down. We're locking up. Like, that's what a bunch of Cardano people were saying in early 2018. We're not going to go in a bear market. We have 70% lockup. No, it actually makes your order book thinner. So it's going to go down faster. Like, come on. All right. So, yeah, 0.0011 would be my target for this. Short term, it's going to get stuck. So if Bitcoin bounces, either this line is at 0.0028, 0.0029. If Bitcoin bounces up to 38 or whatever, or in proximity to 38, it's either going to use this as perfect rejection or it's going to get above and fail it, would be my guess. Therefore, this will be a resistance. So I would draw this horizontal at 0.00285. See, at 287. Or 00287, I would draw my horizontal there, and that would be your midterm target for MTV. Let's go to B Pro. So I skipped around. Trias B Pro. All right. Wow, B Pro's. I haven't looked at B Pro chart in a bit. It's probably been a week or a week and a half. I can't believe it's holding up this well. This is actually really surprising. This is a good sign for BPro, man. Wow, this gives me pretty strong hopes for the next bull market. So what this means is, since it's still holding its major horizontal, as opposed to most altcoins, they've broken through it. Where's its weekly 10? Yeah, it's probably gonna break down though, because you have this weekly 10 approaching this, and you're gonna have that cross. So the weekly 10 is gonna squeeze price below that, most likely. So this would be, if Bitcoin capitulates, you're going to see that red line cross here, and then BPro is probably going to come down to the 0.001 area, 001 and change, somewhere around there, which should be, if I had to magically get, or not magically guess, but let's say magically guess, make a magical guess, I would guess that it's close to 95 to 98% down. That would be my guess. Look at that, 97. TA is not astrology for men. It's one of the wittiest things I've ever ever seen on Twitter that is against, you know, what I do. Like it's a definite jab at what I do, but it was very witty. So yeah, I would say double. So again, just from the top down to the bottom, 95 to 98%. That's your target for the long term. All right, and then you said try us. Okay, so we have structurally all this stuff down here as support, right? Wick, and then it comes up and use it as the same wick area that was resistance, came use it as support. So this is probably a major target around $1.15 down there. Is that magically in my zone of 95 to 98% down? Crazy. 96 and 96.4%. It aligns. That's probably where it's going long term. Short term, same deal as Veracity. It's essentially the same deal. The bottom of the point. So this yellow line. Here, why do I have another? So this box is the point of control here. If Bitcoin bounces, it'll probably come up to the bottom line at 380 and either use it as rejection perfectly or come above and fail it. That would be my guess. But my $3.80 line would be kind of a target area for a bounce. And yeah, thanks for the super chat. I just did 4 of them for you, so hopefully. And again, I promise you, it's just as hard as it is to accept, just draw down 95 to 98%. That's probably where altcoins are going. And at this point, Luna included, since it really kind of failed its prime objective. Yikes. It's kind of scary. All right, that's what we got there. Let me look for... So OTA, how you doing? I'll go straight to your questions. Today's show gonna be lit. Yeah, I mean lit with fire. I mean red candles burning the house down. FTM. Okay. If you can't do it all, just pick any you want to do. All right. I'll look at... Yeah, I'll take a look at Phantom here. And again, we're going to use the same principles that I was using on all these other altcoins. It's probably going to apply, but since Phantom is, I would say this is a market leader of sorts, not as strong as a market leader as, you know, Ethereum would be, but this is one of the leaders because as Bitcoin made a 64K top here, and then Bitcoin made a 69K top, most altcoins made a lower high, a high lower than their previous high when Bitcoin hit 64. Because this not only made a higher high, but it just smashed through as Bitcoin was making its 69K top. This, I would consider this a market leader. Therefore, my 95% rule to the downside, you might have to lighten the load on that. Instead of drawing 95% down and making a target right there at $14, and actually it looks like that's probably where it's going to hit. I would guess about 15 cents actually. But anyway, I wouldn't draw it down 95 to 98%. So most, especially small caps, you want your box between 95 and 98%. So somewhere like this. So you'd make a box, you know, this would be my bear market box right here for most altcoins, something like this, 95 to 98% down. However, I would essentially take that box and put a box on top of it for your market leader type of coins, just a little bit on top. And that's roughly where I think it's headed. And what does that magically, for some reason, align with? It aligns with the structure. All of this here, and it aligns with all the support. Boom, support, boom, support, boom, support, support. So I would say that Phantom is going somewhere between 15 cents to a quarter. That would probably be a good bottom guess as of now because of the very, very simple rule. Draw down from the top. That's just where altcoins are going. I'm telling you, it's extremely, extremely probable. Now, could it bounce around a lot in this area for a bit? Absolutely. It might struggle to get below 50 cents, but once the weekly 10, so here's what you're looking for. It'll probably have some bouncing around here until the weekly 10 catches up with it like this. And it might tank sooner, especially if Bitcoin takes it. But what you're going to see is this weekly 10 is going to get closer and closer and closer and closer and closer and closer. And once that red line, let me make it red, boom, gets there. it'll either fall down right around the time the red line gets to this box. So this box is right at 50, just over 50 cents, 50 to 55 cents, roughly is this box. But it will have fallen by the time red is crossing here. And it could fall on this attempt here. It could go like this and go straight down, right? Without, before this crosses here. It could happen a little sooner, but that's the general idea. Is it does have a support area of 50 cents to 55. It will have broken through this by the time the weekly 10 is crossing that horizontal, or before, and those would be my price targets. Now, if Bitcoin gets a bounce here, I think actually Phantom could have. Would it go? I don't think it'd come all the way up to here. So if Bitcoin gets a bounce up to 38 and change, maybe up to 40 here, which is my second most likely scenario, I don't know if Phantom has enough juice to get all the way up there. That's a 70% move for a large cap. I don't see that happening. That would be my most bullish case. I don't think it's very likely that it gets a 70% move here, but it could. It could go up to 95 cents. And honestly, if it did, I would probably take that short or begin being interested in a short at that point. But I would say a lower high situation like this. Something. Yeah, maybe rival this area. So go up to 80, almost 90 cents is where I would see that going. And that should align with hitting its weekly 10 or scraping past it like that. See the weekly 10, this line, if you extended it, it would go like that. So it'd probably come up and wick above its weekly 10 if Bitcoin gets a bounce. And that's your midterm and longer term time frame guesses on where Phantom's going to go. All right. I'll take so KuCoin shares. KuCoin shares is in a similar place as BPro, but not quite as strong because remember what I said. If you overshoot a support and use something lower than that as support, that means you're going to make a lower high and it's probably going to do it again, lower high, and then it's going to fail. So because this overshot that support, it's very likely that it's just going to go do, bam. It's going to fall down. So it missed its support at 1450. I would look very hard at a lower high around 1633, somewhere around that time. It's going to go below this again. It's going to make another lower high at around 15 or high 14s, and then it's going to come down. And it's probably going to hit about $6, would be my guess. And that aligns with this structure down here. Does that happen to align with 95% down? No, it doesn't. Where is 95%? This one could hold up better than most coins. Yeah, this is an exchange coin, though, so that makes sense why. Exchange coins kind of have a little bit of buffer. Ooh, I don't see it coming down all the way to $1. It could. Yikes. Wow. So a major meltdown. I don't know. I kind of think, BNB and these exchange coins I think they have a chance to weather this a little bit better, but you need to keep this in mind. It could literally hit $1.80. It could. However, with the idea that it's an exchange coin, you might have a slightly different set of rules for it as opposed to 95% from the top. It could bottom out around $4, $4 and change. All right, mover. Why is my brain not working? Oh, I have it in a different category, in my Pokesphere. Okay. Whew. All right. So just know that Mover is a coin that I have a DCA plan for. It's one of the very few coins that I'm not trading. Well, I would have traded a little more had I had some more upside. I'll tell you that right now. But because of the abysmal performance, I've essentially succumbed to the idea I'm just DCAing into this. So I bought some at 124, bought some at 70, bought some at 59. I'll probably buy a little bit more in the 30s. If it goes down even lower, I'll buy a little bit more. That's personally my strategy. You don't have to have that same strategy for this coin. However, within your overall portfolio, it's okay to have a couple of those coins where you're not trying to necessarily buy at the bottom. It's okay. I just wouldn't fill up my portfolio of DCAing all the way down, because it could keep going and going and going and going. You should have some that you try to only buy near what you think is a bottom, and some of them that you buy, just maybe a small handful, 1 or 2 or 3, where you're DCAing. Honestly, just DCAing into Bitcoin is probably not a bad idea. However, this is one. This and XRP are 2 of the coins where I'm in BPRO are my 3 DCAs essentially. And I don't know. This looks like this is pretty weak stuff. If Bitcoin capitulates, it's going to go a lot lower. This could hit the 98 range. It could hit like $9. And I'm saying that it's going to potentially be on the higher end of the weakness scale or the dip down because it didn't get that higher high. Actually, no, it came out after Bitcoin 64K top. So I guess it did get a higher high. Well, it's just been weak performance the whole way. As Bitcoin made higher lows at some times, this just continued making lower lows, lower lows, lower lows, right? And I think it's going to be more susceptible to strong downside moves because people at this point are kind of giving up on this. They're gonna sell more easily, all that kind of stuff. And I think this could hit the 98% down from the top, or under. It could hit. It's probably going to hit single digits. That would be my guess. And any upside move, I would guess it'll simply flirt with the weekly 10 like it did back here. See that? Let's zoom in. And I had a box here because that's where I thought it was going. And where did it go? To the right hand corner pocket of my box. Now, when I draw a box, like my boxes are having really good hit rates, folks. I mean, you might, if you see me draw a box, you might want to put it on your chart too, because I've been having some pretty solid guesses here recently. And the box is a box because it's not just level up and down; it's time frame. It'll hit that level within a specific time frame, and I've just been hitting a lot. I've been scoring a lot. So yeah, if Bitcoin gets a bounce, I could see this coming as high as the weekly 10, wherever it would be at that moment. So let's extend the weekly 10 here, and I think price could come up to somewhere like $42. If Bitcoin goes closer to 38K. All right. Thanks, Manuel Briseño. I buy NFTs. Now you can buy. I don't want to just. So, in regard to my NFT spiel, just 2 important things here. First is, even with JPEGs, you could consider that my Cardano, right? I'm not a big fan of Cardano. I think it's doomed to fail, essentially, and the reason I am vocal about this because there's so many people who are invested in it, and I want to get the word out. But I trade it sometimes, and I make money from Cardano, right? Doesn't mean I don't make money from it. Just because I don't like something doesn't mean I don't make money from it. So if you're an NFT person, my thought process that it's just like CryptoKitties version 2.0, and then it's not going to come back, which is probably my guess is probably going to be right, but it could be wrong. But you assume it's right. So with the assumption that it's right, that NFT JPEG specifically, not NFT use case for concert tickets or artists and all that stuff, not necessarily that. I think it could have a use case for that, but I don't think it's going to be as widespread as what NFT people are thinking. Because concert ticket stuff already works pretty well. So therefore so if there's not a major problem, then it doesn't need a solution. So even though it works on blockchain and you can assume ownership, there's not a major problem that needs to, you're creating a solution for something that doesn't have a major problem, in my opinion. Therefore it won't survive. Right? That's my logic behind it. Just like all the in 2017, they're making, this is blockchain for gardening, blockchain for the dentistry industry, blockchain for the pot industry. Like, no, if dentistry doesn't have a inherent problem that's rampant across the whole industry, it doesn't need your freaking solution. If there's no problem, then no solution's needed. What are you guys doing? You're destined to fail. Anyway. The major thing with that is don't be discouraged from trading and making money from NFTs. But I would do it with caution and with the idea that it might not be here in about 3 years. Okay, that's my NFT spiel looped full on around. All right, UST losing its peg. So somebody asked me about a fundamental question. I am not a fundamental person. I was in 2017 and 2018. I could tell you about whatever new projects, this and that, you know, and I try to stay up to date by watching the two major channels that cover fundamentals. I think Coinburu and Whiteboard Crypto are the two big ones. They do a really good job with the fundamental stuff. I personally, I would just use one of those resources. Once they make they'll both probably make a video on it. I would use them as a source of information. I am personally not a good source of information for that. So I don't know everything, even though I might seem like I act like I do, but I definitely don't know everything. So I will forward on your question and point you in the right direction. Because I don't think I have a good answer for that. I'm not educated enough on Luna and its stablecoin and its problems. Okay, Manuel Briseño asks about Dogecoin. Off the top of my head, before I find it, I think Dogecoin's going to 2 cents. It's going to low single digits, and that would be my guess. However, because when somebody famous tweets about something, so this happened last bull, so all the stuff you're experiencing in this bull market, a previous version has already happened. NFTs already happened. Famous person tweeting about a coin, it goes to the sky, already happened. So we already know roughly we can, even though past performance doesn't predict future results or whatever. We've seen that. It's just another flavor of ice cream. It gives us, I don't know, in my opinion, you have an idea of what's going to happen. So I think most of this run from the famous person tweeting is going to go away. It's going to eat it up. Like it could, its best case scenario, it holds 5 cents. Best case. But it's very, very likely going to hit 5 cents. I think it'll give up 5 cents and it's coming back down to this line. See this line? It's the bottom origin line. I think it'll hit that line around just over 2 cents. Now watch what I'm doing, and it's going to be hard to believe. Watch. But my boxes are usually hit, I'm telling you. So I'm making another box. And remember what I said a few minutes ago? All right. Actually, let me actually record this. All right, so Dogecoin. In general, when a famous person tweets, just like with what was it called? Starts with a V, VRX. What is VRX? Why do I know the ticker but not the name of the coin? Or no, it's not VRX. I can't remember. McAfee tweeted about it's a privacy coin. Darn, I can't believe it's not coming to mind. But anyway, he tweeted about a privacy coin that did the same thing, and it gave up its whole run. Right? So I think, therefore, Dogecoin will give up its whole run. It'll come easily down to the single digits, and it'll be lucky to hold 5 cents. All this structure right here. Let me get rid of the EMA that I have. What EMA do I have on? The weekly 10. It has a chance to hold on to 5 cents. However, what I think is most probable for a bear market target is this bottom origin line here. It'll come down. You see it support there, swooped under, but roughly support here. It's going to probably hit that same line around 2 cents. And, I know my boxes, they seem unbelievable, especially if you like a certain coin that I'm given lower price targets for, but just watch. And this is related to Dogecoin. Just my boxes and my targets, just watch. It's unbelievable at the time. But look, remember, I don't know if you remember, but you can go back and look at my channel, my mana videos. I even made follow-ups, because I felt I didn't convince people that mana is going to drop heavily and hit my targets, from the comments. So I made a follow-up video doubling down on all the mana people who were here thinking it's going to keep going and all that stuff. I was like, no, it's going to hit my yellow line, then it's going to hit my green line. I'm telling you, it's statistically likely. What happened? Boom, it just fell through and went below my bottom target. And then I had bear market targets, right? Look, what is it hitting? My 2022 target. It's already hitting it. It might even go lower than this. And it was unbelievable for fans of this coin at the time that even the yellow was going to be hit. But it hit all of my targets. in the time frame that I had them. Did I give myself a lot of cushion room? Absolutely. But look, it's hit the top left-hand corner at the exact time frame I drew this in. Like, for some reason, I don't know. It's like price hears my boxes and it goes towards them. So maybe I should put a box for Bitcoin at 100K for next month, right? Then we'll all be happy again. Bitcoin will go straight up like I'm a magician. And this is similar to Dogecoin, right? It was unbelievable for those people of this target. Now watch. Look, Luna. When I drew these boxes, I said, hey, Luna's price is going to hit these boxes. And I had comments on there saying, and I told them how percentage down it is, like 80% down. And they go, I got comments like, you don't understand Luna fundamentals. It's virtually impossible. It's virtually, or probably, I don't know what the person sounds like, but it's virtually impossible for Bitcoin to, or for Luna to drop 70%. Well, it flew through my boxes. So either my boxes are hit or price goes below them. So go back to Dogecoin. I'm telling you, like, as hard as this is to believe, I understand. I've been in, and I've been newer to crypto, a year in or whatever. It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe how high things will go, but it's equally hard to believe how low stuff will go. It's probably going to hit that box, and it's probably going to hit it in the time frame that I drew it. I might actually, so that's a little close. I might drag it like that. So it might level out at 3 cents. So between 2 to 3 cents would be my target for Dogecoin for the bear market. However, you could have a major rally off of the 5 cent area, 5 cents and change. That takes it a wick above its weekly 10, because right as it's hitting this, it'll probably be in the time frame where all of crypto, like, people get like a fake rally, like a bull trap or a dead cat bounce. So I think this the timing of this could be dead cat bounce, and it could go a little bit above its weekly 10. So when it happens, the weekly 10 will be, somewhere, maybe like this. And I think it could rally above its weekly 10, have a really strong rate. It could even be 70%. Yeah. It could rally pretty hard. But I would expect it to end up wicking above its weekly 10 and then coming back down and then boom, hitting its target again later. But 5 cents it has a strong chance of being a very, very good bounce point and a tradable bounce point as well, both on spot and or futures. However, again, I don't want to give anybody the idea to try to trade on futures from TA, because TA and trading are totally different things. Don't just attempt to go 50x long and but Kosa said don't try to do that. I don't want to entice anybody to do that. Trading and analysis is totally different from TA. And chart analysis is different than trying to trade this stuff, so don't just jump in and take my word for it, particularly if you're trying to trade, because I'm not talking about trading, I'm talking about TA, roughly. And that's what we got for Dogecoin. Okay. So Harrison, Arc Bruce. Wait, no, I'm skipping people. Hold on. Let me scroll up on these questions here. Pretty soon I'm going to have somebody organize these questions. So thoughts on CW. So Harrison asks CWS and PYR. So Harrison, I see you have a couple questions down below. I'm probably just going to have to address this one because I'm already past my time. CWS. CWS. Ugh. I don't know, 98. I would just draw 98 to 99% down and put a box down there. It's going to go a lot lower. It's already in price discovery down, so there is no friction. There's no friction here. So people are already freaking out. So there is nothing to defend. So buyers are going to be less likely to step in until it naturally just starts making a U shape, and then people who know what they're doing might try to step in and scoop this up at low prices, maybe. But there's nothing to defend here. So it's going to have essentially a lubricated slippy slide all the way down to 98 to 99% down. So 30 cents, maybe in the 30s would be my guess for that one. Yeah, there's no friction, and from a psychological standpoint, no one has a reason to become a buyer. Okay. And then you said, P, what is it? PYR. This is a very neat and orderly graph. Looks kind of like a Trias graph. Like all this beginning move up here looks like Trias. And it's about the same damn price. That's interesting. I would say it wicks below this box, but then immediately comes back up to try to hold it as support in the bear market. I think it's going to go below $3.50, but not for long, and it's probably going to hit this target down here. So once it breaks that, it's going to scoop, bam, bam, the weekly 10, it's going to test it, bam, bam, it's going to come down, and then it'll come right back up in here, something like that. That would be my guess. So key areas of interest around 350 and around 230. 350 is the bottom of that box, and 220 is the bottom of that box. All right. Thought to admit, Luna's probabilities of coming back are shrinking with every support level. Yeah, that's accurate. That is a good way to view the charts. All right, Michael, one of my most loyal community members, just wondering if your Trias capitulation targets are the same still. Yeah, I went over Trias. I think I kept them the same. Around $1. Yeah, around $1. Still the same. And I drew this box way back here after this flash crash, right? A lot of people didn't think I prepared them for a flash crash, right? Like as if I'm responsible for that. But I mean, I guess I try to take some responsibility for that because I am on YouTube and I'm analyzing this stuff, and I guess I didn't see that coming. I didn't see Bitcoin flash crashing. I didn't anticipate it. So I made that around here back in December. So last year, 5-6 months ago, I drew this box, and look how I drew the yellow box there, and look what's magically happened. This is exactly where, this is where it turned on a dime. This is what I was saying earlier with Bitcoin. Whenever something turns, so it turned on a dime here too, down back here. This line is going to be strong support, but also after it breaks below, it's going to be strong resistance, most likely, because it turned on a dime. And this has the value of like 10 daily candles lining up perfectly in a row. It's tops and or bottoms because it turned on a dime. And but that's why I was able to predict way back here where this bleed box range, so the yellow box, this yellow box, where I was able to predict where this yellow box would be because of that wick. And look what happened. That's exactly where it went to. 6 months later. See that? That's the importance. Like, that's the gravity and the weight, like the importance of turning on a dime type of stuff. It creates huge horizontals, and price is attracted to that, and it likes to hit them. All right. But but the reason why that happens is because that's what people are looking at. You want to be on the side where most people are seeing something. Therefore, it's just how it works. It's literally a self-fulfilling prophecy. The only question is you have to go to the seer and correctly guess what is the self-fulfilling prophecy going to be. Are there always a self-fulfilling prophecy? No, not necessarily. Like, for example, you can't always do that. But on Bitcoin back in 2019 as it was recovering, this candle right here, that would have been hard to predict. This mega candle. However, if you know my rules of thumb, my rule of thumb is you can't get a recovery until you go to the weekly 10 and specifically lose volatility and close 3 candles above. 1, 2, 3, it closed a 4th, then pumped. That's my base rule, and that applies to altcoins as well. So you could have predicted it to some degree, but on the exact day, like all this candle is mostly from one day. So it's not always a self-fulfilling prophecy. Sometimes it's just a whale coming in, buying it. Bam. Like that person decided that's it. And that's what started off the whole run. I think it was $100 million market buy across several exchanges, but it was the same group or the same person. It was a big market buy spread across a few exchanges. That happened in the same instant. So there were people in a room dealing with a large trading desk, all counting, like they probably had a timer on the wall. 10, 9, and they had their finger on buy, getting ready to market buy, and different people in the room were on different exchanges using the same pile of money, essentially, like or a portion of the same money. Like there was probably a countdown for that. And the same thing happens for flash crashes. There is a timer on the wall with a group of people in there getting ready to sell on spot and futures. But before they sell on spot for a flash crash, they have already put in their shorts. They had been putting in shorts for a while, and then that's why they have to all hit market sell at the same time. They could be selling Bitcoin at a loss, but it doesn't matter. They're making all their money from the short positions that they took on, usually after creating a mini bull trap. So people are going long because it's 1 for 1. $1 of long is $1 of short. If there are only $30 million of longs, you can't have more than $30 million of shorts. That's why traps to the upside have to happen before massive down moves, typically, right? Okay. So it's not always a self-fulfilling prophecy, because sometimes it is a coordinated thing and it's hard to tell. But usually the coordinated events align with something that's already in the charts, usually. But it still makes it harder to spot, though, because it's not natural price action. Okay, let's see here. I'm not going to get to every... Carl, what do you thought to admit? Luna, oh, that was Carl. Yeah. Luna's coming back as getting less every support level broken. All right. Yes, good. Many updates and improvements coming, and big business. Okay, so somebody spamming one MTV. Yeah, Harmony one. So Jag. Yeah, we'll go ahead and look at Harmony one. I'll check it out on this ticker right here on Binance, the calculated by trading view. It's kind of a good composite of everything. All right. Remember, when two important lines cross, right, price gets sucked into it. Remember that phrase? Well, this is an important line. Very important. So this is kind of like an origin line for Harmony 1. So all origin lines would be parallel to this, right? So I could start dragging down, hitting control, maybe make it like that. Make it about equidistant. It's broken below that too. Oop. I would have to go down to the 4-hour chart to really make that line. I can't really see where it should go necessarily, but I think Harmony's is going to end up breaking. I think it's going to end up breaking. Let me make this one red. Or no, I'll make it blue. No, actually that didn't help at all. I will make it pink. That's the bottom line. The bottom origin line or whatever. It looks like Harmony's going to break through that and go to the next one or even the next one. So, that's normal. That's what Bitcoin's doing too. Like, it's just normal. You break through the bottom origin line, create new ones. Dash has done it. Mover's done it multiple times, right? Even though Mover's a newer coin, so you can't really establish origin lines on such a new coin. But it's very, very, very likely going to break below that. And it's probably going to hit 2 lines down. I would guess 2 lines. So I would guess 1.6 cents. For a bear market target, and I'll go, and again, I'm drawing a box on here, and like I said earlier, when I draw boxes, I just showed you that most of them are hit or lower, right? I mean, that's just how it works. Okay. Is it guaranteed to hit that in this exact time frame? No, not necessarily. Is it guaranteed to hit it at all? That exact level, 1.8 cents? No, but I would say around 1.8 cents. And because this is sort of a market leader-ish type of coin, I would assume that from wick high down to here is less than 95%, which is the basic rule for most altcoins. It's going to drop 95% from top. Oh, no, it is 95. Look at that. Bam. And I recognize you couldn't hear me within the first 15 seconds, which is good. 20 seconds. All right. Yeah, I don't leave live streams just by turning off my computer. I had a memory. I needed new... for all the programs that I'm running to do live streams, it gets to 100% memory, and then it stops the computer. So I already have a Discord, very good Discord team leader who is computer savvy, and he's already sent me the links to the stuff I need to get and swap out in my computer, so I don't have memory crashes as I'm running a lot of software. All right. Again, Harmony 1 is probably going to hit 1.8 cents. It's likely going to go below this origin line. However, similar to a lot of the other coins out there, it's going to have a bounce somewhere before that, and it's going to be around 4.9 cents. Or wait, is that 49? Yeah, 4.9 cents. It's gonna. It has the chance of a strong bounce around that time to come up to the weekly 10 specifically. Just like Trias, Veracity, and a bunch of other Doge, it's got that little zone there in the middle, so it's going to have a pit stop essentially, or a pit stop like in NASCAR or whatever, where they stop and get gas, and that'll be one of those, and then it'll continue on its race down. Would be my guess for Harmony 1. All right, rock and roll. Yeah, I got you. Luna taking everything down today. I don't think. JL. All right, JL. Dude, I told you to buy. Well, first off, I know that is an inaccurate statement because I don't tell anybody to buy. So first off, either you need to rephrase your sentence, or you're just trolling. But I would like to see what you're talking about, JL. If you could tell me a coin and roughly where I said it, or just tell me a coin and a rough day, like April 22nd or whatever, I would like to see what you're talking about. I don't doubt that whatever's in your mind is true or untrue, but the way you wrote it is definitely not true because I don't tell people to buy. All right. Okay. All right, so I have a few non-community members and asking about KDA. So KDA is it's still a thing. Hopefully people are realizing that it is not doing too well, and aren't trying to have hopes for this, to turn around anytime soon. But the general idea is KDA, just like most altcoins, you measure from the top, go down 95%, see where that leads to. Does that align with, so this is 95%. Does it lead to a natural horizontal in structure? Yes, it does. This is the natural, let me get off the weekly chart, maybe see it on the daily. I can take off the weekly 10. It leads to a natural structure. That's very, very, very likely where it's going or lower, because that's barely 95%. It's like 94 and change. Therefore, because I would also make a second box for where this could hit, because it's coming down real strong, right? And I think I mentioned in my last KDA analysis, if KDA loses this box before Bitcoin capitulates, I said it's probably going below this box. Remember that analysis on YouTube? It might be my most recent KDA video, the one before this. So you can go to my channel, type in Kadena, and look at the one, and look at the list of the Kadena videos, and look at my most recent one outside of the one I'm recording right now, essentially. So it did break below that box before Bitcoin started its capitulation process. Therefore, it's statistically likely, in my opinion, that it's going to go below $1.40. It's probably going to, in the end, hit this box. Now, could this box be hit after Bitcoin already makes its low? Maybe. That's the way most altcoins are going to play, especially ones that had a lot of hype behind it, like this one. As Bitcoin bottoms, a lot of altcoins rally like 200% or whatever. But when Bitcoin starts making its first retest of that low, or making a higher low in its recovery process, which could take like 12 months or longer, right? Sometimes it's 6 months, it's retest, it's higher low. But when Bitcoin makes its higher low, that's when altcoins make their lowest low. Therefore, it might not hit that box as Bitcoin. So just remember, it might not hit that box when Bitcoin is hitting its low. It could hit here at around $1.40, recover, whatever, something like this, and then come down here as Bitcoin makes its higher low. And when it does that, you would look back and say, oh, he was wrong about this box. And then 8 months later, oh, he was right about that box. Like, I want you to understand that is like the process you might go through. So I'm trying to anticipate that. because I've been doing crypto long enough where I can anticipate things pretty well, which is kind of what TA is. I'm anticipating what is most likely and less likely. So, but I'm anticipating, you know, both what price will do and how one's reaction to price would be. And I would definitely be targeting around 78 cents as a likelihood, but I wouldn't bet the bank on it. It's not like I would forego trying to pick up any KDA in this box around $1.35 or $1.40 or whatever. I wouldn't just forget about this. I would still try to play into this and become a seller into whatever rally. But I would definitely keep in the back of my mind that the 75-cent area, so 3/4, so 75 cents, is a very, very likely candidate for a bottom target, and that's and any type of rally that you see in the market. So if Bitcoin can bounce off the 32 level roughly and go up to 38, just use the weekly 10. If Bitcoin can get a bounce here, most coins are going to test their weekly 10, and it's that simple. And you just use the MTF EMA indicator, so you don't have to be on the weekly chart. You can use the daily, the hourly, whatever. This line will be here. Weekly 10. That's where most coins will go. Some will wick above, some will come up shy, some will hit it exactly, but just roughly the weekly 10 on any sort of rally that Bitcoin's going to get here. That's what I would use for that in the short-term time frame, should there be a bounce. But also, if there is no bounce short-term, in the short term, this is also where it's going, around $1.50 in this zone. And that's what we got for KDA. All right, somebody's saying we watched more than $5 billion worth of BTC get moved from a Luna cold wallet to be deployed and hold the peg. It did not. Yeah, I don't know, man. Carl, thanks for doing that, but I'm not educated on Luna and what it's doing, so I don't know how to respond to that stuff. But I've seen some really there are some Twitter threads that are describing what Luna did, and a lot of them are describing it as a pyramid scheme. But they logically put, this is Luna's action on this, the first action, second action, third action, fourth action, fifth action, in regard to getting to trying to buy Bitcoin at 47K and then selling it at, but the way they did it was they were minting UST out of thin air. They used that UST to buy Bitcoin, and it doesn't matter to them if they bought it at 47 and sold at a loss. They bought it with money they printed out of thin air. I don't know. I don't know. I can't confirm that because I don't know the fundamentals, but a lot of people are posting on that they bought, like they're trying to say, hey guys, it doesn't matter. Like they bought that Bitcoin at 47K with money they printed. So they really took no loss. It's more like an exit plan, and they're calling it an exit plan / potential rug pull. So just a heads up. And again, I don't want to scare anybody in Luna about that, but that is the word on the street. I don't know the validity of the word on the street. I'm just reporting news to you without any bias and confirmation or anything. I don't know if it's accurate, but that's the word on the street, right? From my not so reliable sources of Twitter comments. All right. Jasmine. So community member Bruce asked about Jasmine. I don't know what Jasmine is, but I like jazz, so. Because I was a trumpet player for about a decade. Did jazz band, I was a band nerd. I was one of the weird kids who, I was sort of a jock when I was younger, but I took those like all the hardest classes, and then I did marching band and all that stuff. And then when it wasn't sports season, I hung out with people who did the partying. I was a little wild. I was a little wild when I was younger. Okay. Like I said in a few of these analysis, remember, whenever it gets a pump, it's probably going to pump up to what? The weekly 10. So that this type of action, this looks like it's like a 200% run. This looks big. Yeah, wow, almost a 300% run. But still, it was attracted towards its weekly 10, which is why I keep saying this about other analyses on other coins. It'll do similar stuff. It looks like it wants to have found a bottom. I mean, honestly, this whole shape looks like what a lot of altcoins did. So imagine this is 2018, although it's not. It's when Bitcoin made its 69K top. So this came out in a very bad timing. So So imagine this is a 2018 coin where it fell all of 2018, all of 2019, all of 2020, started recovering, boom, boom, boom. And like here would be like, you know, a January 2021 or December 2020, something before things went crazy. This looks like a 2018 coin right when I accidentally became a YouTuber, where things were trying to essentially round out a bottom. Still making lower highs, but making potentially trying to form in higher lows and make a U shape. It looks like it wants to stick this. I don't know if I would trust it. So it's already gone down 96%. Man, I mean, so if I could break the tie with Bitcoin and how Bitcoin would affect this, I would say it's already, I guess this technically can't be confirmed as a low that's higher than this low, because one candle doesn't confirm that as a low. You probably need another candle that gets up to 19 cents before you can confirm that as a low, a higher low than that one. But as of now, just for its chart, outside of its connection to Bitcoin, it looks like it's bottomed. However, if Bitcoin were to take another leg down, I bet it would take this with it. So how big of a drop would that be? It's only... It might try to hold on for dear life at a penny. It might. And with the idea that it's probably going to go below this line, what's going to happen is whenever Bitcoin makes its final move down or whatever, or even its higher low, when most altcoins make a lower low, it's going to go below this line and come straight back up to it like that. So I don't know what target it would be down here, whether it's 0.007, 0.008, 0.005, I don't know. But regardless, somewhere under this penny line, it's going to likely go below, then scream right back up to it. That's probably how this is going to behave. This is in an interesting scenario. It's going to have it's going to rubber band effect right back up to that line. Because this is a fairly compelling formation. Like, there are people interested in this coin who are defending this, and if it comes down below it, I think there's a big enough group of people per the market cap of Jasmine. So it might not be a big group of people. If this is a small market cap, it doesn't have to be big. But whatever group of people who are here doing this, defending this essentially, and getting excited about it, they're gonna bring price right back up to it. This looks like a smaller cap coin. I would guess under 200 million would be my guess, but yeah, I would say the penny line, it goes below it, then snaps right back up to it. All right. OLT. Mike. So Mike is another. So he asked about Avax. All right. Let's check out Avax. Okay, remember? When I draw boxes, it either gets hit or it goes below it. Well, in this case, it did it after the time frame. So it did. So this is the first box we've seen on a chart that I missed, right? Because I drew it too early. So it would have been accurate had I done this. So my box did get missed, but it went below my box. So regardless, kind of the idea, when I draw a box for bear market targets, it's either going to be hit or price is going to go below it. Like, that's just the way it works. This is looking pretty bad. Whew. Okay, let's see here. I will go like this, try to extend some origin lines, and make a guess at what she wants to do. So she's already hitting that one. She's going to go even lower. Man, yikes. That's only one origin line down. Altcoins are either going to hit one origin line below its previous bottom one, which actually it technically just did that. So this was its bottom origin line. See, bottom, bottom. So I'll make that pink. I'll make that one pink. And I will undo the color of these, put it back to that color. So this was its previous bottom line, essentially, where I had my bear market target. and it's already gone down one. So this is probably going to go 2 below in the end. So 1, 2, could wick even 2.5, maybe. But I think this could try. Let me see the percentage. So what percentage down? It looks like it's less than 95. That's way less than 95. Uh-oh. It might go 3 below. Yikes. Which even coins like Kusama have gone like 8 origin lines below its original bottom origin line. Like a well-established one over a year. I mean, Kusama just has tanked through what was its bottom. So see this pink line? Kusama went like 8 to 10 below. So, I mean, so this is 1 below, 2 below, 3 below. Does that equal 95%? That's closer. This might not get down. I don't think this is going to go down 95%, folks. This coin looks like it's going to bottom before my general rule of thumb. And again, like I said earlier, the ones that do have more cushion and padding where they're not going to go down 95%, those are your market leader coins. And market leader coins, if I could loosely define them, they are coins that were around for at least all of 2021, right? So newer coins, that are too new, I wouldn't call them as a market leader. So they've been around since on or before January 2021, and they specifically made a higher high when Bitcoin went up to 69K for its higher high. Because even Polkadot didn't do it, right? Neither did Cardano. Cardano didn't make a higher high with Bitcoin 69K top, right? So market leader coins made a higher high in November of 2021 when Bitcoin made a 69K top. Those are specifically the coins that have a stronger chance of not going down 95% from its wick high. And if we look at what this was what? November. So this is in that boat. It looks like it's going to go 1, 2, 3 origin lines down, and I will move this box over here. There you go. This is my target, $20 for Avax. Roughly $20, $20 to $22. And that's how I'm getting to that conclusion. This is probably going to be an exception to the 95% rule. This is a market leader coin. It's looking pretty good, actually. And does this align with a horizontal? It does. It aligns with this horizontal right here. Look, boom. See how those intersect? So it's probably going to go to the bottom of all of this formation. Probably that wick low. It's probably going to target that wick low right there. It's probably going to hit the bottom of that box. So if I had to make an exact guess, which is not a smart thing to do, like exact timing the market is impossible for the most part. Even though I've been successful on some occasions, but it's probably just because I make so many guesses that some of them land exactly on the right timing. But I would say around June 21st, it's going to be right at $20, right where those intersect, right there, or it's going to hit the top. But $23 to $20 around late June in the 20s. That would be my guess. Because of that wick low. See that it turns on a dime, price is going to be attracted there, and it's probably going to bounce pretty hard. And I could see that $20 plus or minus $1, $18 to $22 is probably going to be its bottom area. That would be my guess for Avax. That's a good chart. It's honestly that could be one that I really look into for when I think there's a close to a bottom, a coin that I want to get into earlier. That this is a very, very good candidate for something that'll scream with Bitcoin as Bitcoin recovers. Essentially a first mover. This is a good candidate for being a first mover. All right. Okay, I'm gonna have to wrap this up because I have a small bladder. I was scalping Avax as it tumbled from its highs, definitely fell out of favor. Yeah, okay, that's my Avax. Perfect. Started to play it showing. All right, so Carl, who's one of my team leaders on Discord, he's one of the live trading folks. So if you want to learn how to trade, you can hop on there and watch him do it from an educational standpoint and all that. He's thinking that it's going to go down a lot lower than this. But that would be my targets, though. That's just one opinion. And again, it's based off the idea that it did make a higher high in November. All right. RKS No Genius. Good to see you here. Yeah, cryptos be like having your own money printing machine become a private bank by starting your own crypto coin. Yeah, exactly. Talking about my Luna stuff. Flux. Okay, I'll get to XDC, then I'll do Flux. A couple people have asked about Flux. So we'll do Flux. Ooh. It held up really nicely for a while, but it succumbed. I would say there are two major and very general, so not exact price paths, but roughly the general idea. There are two major things that would play out. The more bearish one is that it's now in price discovery down because it's broken this horizontal. And the people who were defending this, they will go from, so they were buyers and or sideliners, right? They were buyers. Actually, let me do it like, yeah, we'll do buyers, sideliners, so people who aren't buying or selling, but they're not selling either, so they're not adding to the vector of force of either, and sellers, right? So you have three groups of people. That's the same for Bitcoin and everything. There are only three groups of people. Buyers, sellers, and sideliners. Sideliners often are holding the coin itself, but even if they're not, or they are, it doesn't matter. They're not adding to this group or they're not adding to that group, but they are watching the coin. They will convert into one of these sooner than later, right? That's the general idea. All right. So off of that factual observation, just using a process of logic, I think there are two most likely scenarios for Flux. First is, now that it has broken this, the buyers who were defending that level, I'm not saying they'll exactly become sellers, so they're not going to shrink this arrow and add to this arrow necessarily, but rather they have less reason to become buyers and defend that. Therefore, this arrow will shrink. And now look at the difference. It doesn't matter if they don't become sellers. Now the sell vector, which didn't change, is bigger than the buy vector, which means it goes down farther. In addition to the idea that sideliners who currently couldn't tell, oh, should I pick up some more? I'm still holding or whatever. Some portion, whether it's, the tail end or the fat end, I don't know which portion, but some portion, take a snippet of this, some portion of the sideliners will become sellers. And so this vector has shrunk and this vector gets bigger, which means lubrication to the downside, and it's going to start screaming. I would say that's the most probable scenario. But I think there is a second very likely scenario as well, is that it looks like it wants to keep going, but then tries to recover after Bitcoin capitulates, and then it screams right back up to this area. Similar to, I can't remember what coin I was talking about earlier. Was it Jasmine or something, where I said, it's probably going to fall below a horizontal and then scream right back up to it. I think it might have been Jasmine. I think so. Even in the more bullish scenario, I think it's going to have some more downside, but it's going to scream back up to here if Bitcoin can capitulate sooner than later, like May, June. So if Bitcoin can get some heavy volume, heavy downside, hit 24K or lower, something like that, this could scream down a little bit lower, maybe down to 60 cents, maybe somewhere in that range, and then scream right back up to this level. But there are no bottom targets that I can give you outside of just drawing, 95%. Whoa, that's not even 95% down. Oof. Wow, this coin's actually holding up really well. I would be surprised if this goes down 95%. I'm not for sure what Flux is, but it's holding up really, really well. That's kind of impressive, actually. I'm a little impressed right now. Yeah, but I think in both cases, it'll come down a little bit, but in the more bullish case, it'll zoom right back up because these sideliners, who I was talking about earlier, those sideliners didn't necessarily become sellers, so therefore this vector of force didn't get too much bigger. But then those sideliners, after it, Bitcoin has a capitulation, they'll immediately turn into buyers, and you'll have a big rally up. So this vector of force will come up, and these previous sideliners will come scoop it up and drive it back up to $1.20, and that's what we got for Flux. All right. XDC. All right, I don't know what XDC is, but we'll cover Oh, this is versus Bitcoin. All right, let's measure from the top. How far has it gone down? Only 78%. So let's take a quick little moment here. Rule of thumb, even with the idea that Cardano went down 99% last bear market, Ethereum went down 94% last bear market, most altcoins will go down to that percentage range level, 94 to 98, 99%. The vast majority of altcoins will do it. So go from wick high, go down to 90. Well, shit, I'm going to have to do this. It doesn't mean it's guaranteed to hit this level. 0.00985. However, you need this level in mind. As unrealistic as that might seem, I'm telling you, it's a strong candidate for a bottom. I know it's hard to believe, but I just showed you on multiple other coins that when I covered it on YouTube, Mana, okay, and Luna, I gave downside targets, and I got a bunch of like, oh, it's never gonna do that. And then not only were the lines hit, either my lines were hit, my boxes or lines were hit in the exact time frame I drew them, or price went way lower than that. Right? It's hard to believe. So this is the type of moment that those people experienced when I drew those boxes, and I've already followed up during this live chat, showing you that all of those boxes were hit or it went lower. Right? But it's hard to appreciate that feeling until you see something like this. This is the type of moment that they were in. Now you can kind of empathize with folks where it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe it could hit that. I know. Is it guaranteed to hit that? No. But it's pretty damn likely. It's pretty damn likely. Now, I don't know much about XDC. It does look like a potential candidate where it's not going to go down 95% because honestly, this is holding up rather well. It didn't get too, juicy. It didn't have like an 8,000% run or anything like that. Dogecoin or, whatever. Even BPRO had like a 6,000% run. So this has been, not too crazy volatile. It could, be a newer coin with a big following, therefore that might not be it. But still, even if you have all the reasons in the world why this is not going to be it, you probably need it on your chart, and you need to keep that box in the back of your mind. I'm telling you. 0.00, right at a penny, at 1 cent, is very, very likely to be hit. However, some other things that you can do is create a trading channel. It's gone up and out of its trading channel, but it's probably going to break back in it. I'm telling you, it's very likely going to happen. And this is its point of control. Actually, this is its... That's its point of control. So if you, with the assumption that it's going to break, honestly, it looks like it wants to keep going up. If Bitcoin weren't doing what it's doing, this looks like it wants to break out. However, usually when something has some type of divergence with Bitcoin price, so Bitcoin price is breaking down while this is breaking up, that's opposites. And opposite, that's what a divergence is, right? Things move in the opposite direction. So this has a divergence with Bitcoin. This chart, for its chart only, looks like it's breaking out. Honestly, it consolidated under this resistance line and broke out. It's making it what looks to be potential higher low. It could come all the way down here, test this, and keep going. So if Bitcoin weren't in a drastically bearish scenario as it is right now, typically this is a strong breakout, and I would scoop up that higher low, typically. But when you see a coin diverging from what Bitcoin price is doing, it's very... So remember what I'm about to say. And not even if you don't give two shits about this coin, for all, this rule applies. When you see divergence between altcoin and Bitcoin, it almost always succumbs. And then it succumbs to what Bitcoin's doing, which is usually a down move. And a lot of times, that's a good play to the upside. If Bitcoin's been screaming, for example, for me and BPRO had 3 of the 4 major hot flavors of the month, right, on its website. And I saw it wasn't going up. But most DeFi / Web3 and what else did it have on there? It hadn't made all the keywords. I was like, holy cow, this has divergence. It's not going up as Bitcoin screaming, and so are all the other coins that have that kind of stuff on their website. So it also played to the upside when you see divergences like that. But this is a divergence to the downside that has a downside favorite here. So it's probably going to succumb, and it's going to ride this channel. It could ride this channel until Bitcoin. What would this suggest Bitcoin bottoms at? In December of 2020? Yeah. So this more bullish option is, in my opinion, is it succumbs to this and is able to use this channel as support until Bitcoin bottoms. Maybe wick below it, come right back up, and then do this all over again, break out as Bitcoin is, finding a bottom. I would say 1.9 cents to 2 cents, something to that effect. If it can weather just only wicking past on a weekly wick, but then closing back up here above this bottom channel. So I would write this channel in my, try to do the same thing. You might, so whoever asked about this coin during this live show, you might want to draw these, you might want to take a snapshot of this and draw this in here. That's the more bullish scenario. However, I would definitely keep 1 penny in mind. 1 penny or 2 pennies would be my guess. More bullish being 2 pennies. But as of now, I would strongly make the opinion that it's going to fall back into this trading channel and it will succumb to Bitcoin. All right, I got to get going, everybody. I'm way over my time. Almost an hour past. This is almost a 2-hour deal. So thanks for being here. Again, we'll see you on Thursday at 10:30 a.m. And remember, TA is not trading. I cannot stress this enough. If I covered your coin or whatever, and especially if it's on futures, nothing that I said recommends you buy anything at certain levels or try to long, especially not on futures. TA is not trading. A trading system is totally different. You can have the exact right TA and get destroyed in trading with futures because you don't know how to do it. It is a system. How much leverage you're using, how you set your stops. It is a totally different game. It's not quite night and day, because in order to trade, you have to have some TA behind it usually. Actually, sometimes you don't have to based on different systems, but it's not the same. So don't, particular to futures trading with leverage, nothing in my analysis today is giving you any indication to try to trade this with leverage or anything to that effect, and signaling, telling you to buy. Because I had somebody comment on here, you told me to buy here and I lost my. No, I didn't. I don't tell people to buy. That's wrong. I can already tell you're trolling me or lying. But don't interpret anything I said as telling you to buy. Okay, especially not when dealing with futures in margin. And we'll see you next time. Be safe. Be safe.